I lost my husband August of 2019. I had known him since I was 16, and it was a great loss for me. It was like I lost a really best friend. He, served in the United States Air Force, and I just want to dedicate this to him because even though he was 10 years my junior, he instilled and deposited so much into me that he'll always be within my heart. So this is called my version of widowhood. Broken, shattered, pieces of our lives lie. When you unexpectedly was called to die. Where do I get the strength? Where do I get the will to put back together what has left me a widow? All alone, so lonely. I'm in the class of widowhood. Words, expressions, sentiments contain a fragment of my pain. Frankly, it's not fair. Was there anything for me to gain?
You're hearing a
One
poem
day
by a person who's written me and asked me to do a video interview with her. Her name is Sylvia, and she is a person who has overcome a lot, has learned a lot, and you're about to hear her give you a sense of how she became her and what she's achieved and what she's working to do in her life.
We lived in a old stone house. I would say that it was antique, a farm helper's house, if you will. And, my grandfather worked on a farm from sun up to sundown, and pretty much that's how the house was taken care of as far as rent. And the house pretty much didn't have no running water, no inside bathroom, and we're talking about in the 70s. So we're not talking about in the 50s. So that was a challenge, just to have to, cut wood and get water and stuff from the well, and those was challenges growing up that I didn't understand. So poverty was real. When you go through a lot of hardships and things in life, you become depressed at some point. So by the time I was in my early 20s, depression was real for me, going through a lot of the different things I went through growing up. So this was another whole world for me. My mother, biological mother, had schizophrenia. I remember as a kid going to see her at the mental hospital, and we would take long rides on the Greyhound bus, which was very draining within itself. And then to get there, and it was very traumatizing to see the situations and the people that was helpless behind these locked doors. And it was very sad for me. This is another thing that set the tone for me in my life. It was always in me to program my mind, that I would utilize my mind, because they said if you don't use it, you lose it. And I would always have that picture, that image of those helpless people in Western State Hospital.
My grandmother was in a mental hospital for 26 years. I used to go with my father to visit her at Pilgrim State Hospital, Long Island, New York. Horrifying. Screams like otherworldly. So I have some sense of what you're talking about. So with these early life challenges, you got yourself out of them.
I would begin to have a strong faith. I growed up, of course, going to a little country church in my hometown, and that began to be my anchor. I loved church. I started reading the Bible at 6 years old because it was so many different things I had to face. So this it became my anchor. It became my everything. And another thing, I would begin to write. I would begin to journal every feeling I had. I would begin to document thoughts I had. And I knew at an early age that I would want to write. I knew at an early age I would want to teach. And I knew at an early age that mental health would be a field that I would like to explore further. So with all the different challenges that I have faced, I became an ordained minister. I became an educator. And I became, well, as a matter of fact, I sit on the board as a committee member for the Mental Health of America. Now, when I think back, as an old writer, gospel singer said, as I look back over my life and I think things over, you know, I feel that I've come from a mighty long way. And, you know, because like you just said, David, it was determination. It was hard work. It was willpower to know that I did not have to be who I saw my ancestors be. I could be who I wanted to be because I could create my own world, so to speak. You know, and my sister developed a illness. Every time you turned the light on, it would bother her. And who would have known she had psoriasis? I mean, the worst case that I have ever saw. And but what am I trying to say? Over 50 some years, she took that situation, and she has one of the biggest psoriasis organizations because she took the pain and turned it into something. You know, and sometimes we have to take our pain and we have to turn it into something good. Through all this that I've been through, one of the good things I look at is I've had the opportunity. I growed up on looking at Leave It to Beaver. Well, 2 years ago, I was sitting on the same platform with Jerry Mathers. I never thought I would meet him. You watch something growing up, but you never think you would have the opportunity to see that person face to face. And I've met Karen Duffy in the same space with her. And these people that, what am I saying? Because of that, what I went through, my journey has led me to meet people that I never would have just had the opportunity. So it just speaks volumes to me in saying we don't have to have our life empowerment. We don't have. It's a mindset.
You have power. You have drive. You have internal fortitude. I can tell it in your words. How can somebody get that? Do you have it naturally, or did you learn that?
You know, a lot of people ask me growing up where I grew up, you know, about racism and so forth. And I would just like to say, you know, I never looked at people as what color they were or what culture they were. I just always looked at people as people. My definition, everyone's so interested in what color you are. But to me, you know, color is love, you know. And this would be called expressions. Words have become my best friend. When there is no one to help me or to lend me a hand, I can be free as a butterfly. Words give me freedom when I would want to cry. You know, cry for the wrongs, for the pains that I have overcame. But I can rejoice today because words have set me free. I express in words how I feel. If you really want to know who I am, find me in the words, expressing myself down to the core, deep within my soul, the color of love. I often say, love isn't a color.
That's a beautiful piece of writing. I think what you're saying by that writing is you got force, you got power. What is the basis of that? Is it God? What's giving you that intense clarity?
It's a faith in me that doesn't judge people. I grew up with the old adage, never kick a man when he's down. You know, if you can't help pick him up, don't kick him down. We have to treat people the way we want to be treated. And I'm just so thankful that for the opportunities to better myself in this life. You know, I'm so glad for the opportunities that I was afforded education. I'm able to vote. I'm able to do all these things that my ancestors didn't have an opportunity, but I'm thankful. So I'm using them for my good to help other people.
Everything now comes down to race for some people. On my YouTube channel, there are people who, no matter what I say or post, everything has got a racial side.
My father was working at this farm, and the lady had 3 little kids. And, I was always a friendly little girl, and I wanted to play with the kids. And the little girl wanted to play with me. So she went in the house and she asked her mother, can she come in? And this would be in like 67 or something. And the little girl came back outside and she said, no, my mother said, I can't play with you and you can't come in. And I remember just being so sad. And the little girl was sad because we could not understand, why we couldn't play together. And that person that I'm talking about ended up becoming a good friend of mine still to this day. But that was an experience of racism that I experienced, that they didn't want you to play together because, my father was working for them and that's what it was. You didn't play with them. Even if you was thirsty, you'd have to go on down the road to get some water because they wouldn't let you have a cup out of their house. And I'm just being real. This is what I experienced, and once again, it's a mindset. You're always going to have hatred. You're always going to have people that feel this way. What can we do? Only thing we can just do is just realize, that's what it is. And that's how I always looked at it. I don't feel racist to anybody. I'm aware of what is going on in the world, but, I call it pure ignorance.
So you chose to contact me, and I'm honored by that. And I chose to select you because you come from a very real place. What could you say to young people who are struggling with what's America? Where's the democracy? What's it like right now with the coronavirus pandemic? It's pretty rough. You got any advice for those folks?
I would say to anybody, be yourself. Be who you are. A lot of times people want to follow the crowd, but I've learned a long time ago, I don't follow the crowd. I don't drink alcohol, and I'm just saying because I saw the problem with alcohol. Not saying that it's wrong, but I don't do it. I don't do what I see other people do. I do what I know that's right for me. So that would be what I would say to people, and not let people determine who you are. Set goals. Even I came out of depression. I've been at death's door. I've been, when I was on a ventilator because I went in for a plain surgery, and somehow during the surgery, my lungs collapsed, and I ended up would have to have a blood transfusion. And when I came up coughing, they had to take the incubator out of me. The doctor was standing over my bed. He said, "We almost lost you." I said, "What happened?" By this time I had a blood transfusion. I'm thinking, I'm going to come in the hospital. I'm going to come right out. But, that didn't happen. I ended up being in a nursing program after that because I had to learn how to do everything all over again. So in life, there's unexpected things that we don't maybe anticipate because I never expected that. But what am I saying? I came through, even when it didn't look good. And I remember, like I said, I've always had the faith. When I couldn't walk, they said I couldn't drive. And somehow I mustered up the strength. I said to my niece at the time, "Get me in the car." She said, "Where are you going, Auntie?" I said, "Get me in the car." And she got me in the car. I had tubes and things hooked up to me. And we drove over to this lady's house, which is a healer. And I believe in people that the Lord has given the gift to do that. So we got in the car and drove over there. Like I said, I could barely walk. And I got up in that little lady's house, and it was very small. And I'm talking about the power. Woo! And she said, "Bring her over here." And that would be me. And she began to go around in circles and lay her hands on me. And she spoke healing. She said, "You are a miracle." She said, "You are a miracle." And it gives me chills thinking about it now. She told me that. And I didn't understand what she said. You know, I was crying and in so much pain. And she told her assistant, she said, "Bring her back in another week." Well, do you know, she passed in 2 days. And even to this day, it was something that that lady deposited into me. Immediately after I heard of her death, my healing came back. They had me on a bag. I went to the hospital and the doctor said, "What are you talking about? That cannot come off you." I said, "But you don't understand. I'm healed." He said, "You're not understanding what I'm saying." I said, "When you tell people things like this, they don't believe it." I said, "Doctor, I'm asking you." I said, if I ever knew what I was talking about, I said, "This one thing I know." He said, "I'll tell you what, I'll remove this." And he said, "You'll have to sit here for an hour to see whether," at that time I wasn't able to go to the bathroom. I laid there and it was a feeling that came over me that I knew that I knew that I knew. They removed it. That would have been in 1998. From that day to this, I have been healed.
I want to thank you for sharing a bit of yourself with me. I feel it will help other people. And you're one hell of a writer. By chance, you got any other kind of writing there you could read at the end of this video?
So this is called my version of widowhood. Broken, shattered, pieces of our lives lie. When you unexpectedly was called to die. Where do I get the strength? Where do I get the will to put back together what has left me a widow? All alone, so lonely. I'm in the class of widowhood. Words, expressions, sentiments contain a fragment of my pain. Frankly, it's not fair. Was there anything for me to gain? One day you're here, and the next you're not. It makes me not sure if I could be understood. I'm left in the class of a widowhood. The longing, the yearning to hear your voice, to feel your touch, to smell your presence, to feel your embrace, to feel the touch of your life once more. No more holding me close, no more whispering sweet nothings in my ear. How do I move on without you? There are reminders every day. Our children, our home, elegantly reminding me that we are one. How do I accept it? How do I say it's done? Widowhood. Disbelief, shocked, sad, heartbroken beyond measure. You are my life, my husband, and my eternal treasure. Inside of me, there is this place. It's hard. Days, weeks, months, years. All I can do is cry more tears. Widowhood, widowhood. I know you're watching over me. You're the angel that I cannot see. I'm holding tight every memory, every thought, every laughter, every cry, every hug, and all that we embraced. I'm holding on to the days of you and I. I know if you had a choice, you would not have left me. I know if you had a choice, you would not have left me in such a rush. No goodbyes, no touch. Whispers that I love you. I'm calling on peace be still. My pain is real. Please help me with how I feel. This is the story of widowhood.
That was beautiful. I understand. Everybody does who's lived long enough to have that happen. I'm really appreciative of you doing this with me and writing that spectacular thing to your spectacular husband. I honor him for his service and you for your courage. Thank you.
Thank you.